Life on the island. It can be a pretty brutal experience. If you're new to the Culling, and you are looking for some basic knowledge on how to survive your first few Royales, consider this your one-stop shop. My name is SluggyBug, and I'm here to help. This here is my 20 beginner tips to help you suck less in the Culling. Before we jump right into the tips, I just want to say that the Culling is an early access alpha, so some of the info obtained within this guide may change at a later date. If it does, I will update the video with the annotations and their corresponding tips section. With that being said, let's get rolling right into it. Tip number 1. Collect funk. In the Culling, it's a good idea to be as funky as possible, so knowing where to find and obtain the funk is a good thing. Laying on the ground outside, or possibly hidden within lockers or cabinets indoors, you will stumble across previous opponents in the form of bones, severed heads, and limbs. When you get tired of looting rotting limbs and smelly ass bones, try finding funk barrels. Scattered around the map are blue, flashing barrels that when looted, award 15 funk. This leads into our next tip. Tip number 2. The gas tanks. Yes, the gas tanks. No, I'm not talking about your grandpa on Thanksgiving.
You want some candy? I got some candy.
These gas canisters can help you in crafting certain weapons, darts for your blowgun, smoke bombs. Not only are these big pills of green buttery goodness necessary for crafting, when not holding a craftable item in your hands, you can activate the gas in them to release it. Upon it releasing, you will receive 5 funk for your hard work. Rumor has it, the green stuff inside is actually the green ooze that aided in creating the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Tip number 3. Recycle old weapons. The quickest way to acquire funk, besides murdering other players in a game, is to sell the random items you find laying around that you have no use for. If it is a weapon, the higher tier it is, the more it will recycle for. Doing this will help you acquire the ever important airdrop that will most likely complement your perks and your build. If it's an item in the game and serves you no purpose, don't leave it, recycle it. Recycle everything you can as quickly as you can. Tip number 4. When recycling or healing, don't stop moving. When you are recycling or healing, it makes you highly vulnerable to a backstab because your back is facing out. The sounds of the healing or recycling may draw in other players around you, and for this reason, it is a good idea to never stop strafing around to make yourself less vulnerable to being backstabbed. When healing and recycling, keep your ears open and don't lose focus on what's going on around you. Tip number 5. Don't make too much noise. When crafting something, it will more than likely acquire a stick or a rock. Both can be acquired by hitting a tree or a rock with your fist or your weapon. If you are trying to be completely silent, you should opt to just finding materials laying on the ground. Both are very common, and finding them this way won't give away your position. Tip number 6. Make a mental note of where green boxes will spawn. When running around pointing face, you may stumble across one of these bad boys right here. Represented by a decently large box with a green flashing light, within them will be a decent weapon or tool you can use or recycle. The green boxes take no funk to open, so this can make them awesome, especially in the early on stages of the game for acquiring funk. In most areas, you should find one, and when you do, try to remember where you find it because they tend to spawn in the same 3 or 4 spots within that area. Tip number 7. Craft explosives to open up red boxes. These assholes right here require an explosive to open, so sometimes they will go overlooked by players because they don't want to waste their C4 charge or dynamite to open it, understandably. Here is the good news though. If you know the location of a red barrel in 12 Funk, find yourself a stick and make a craftable explosive from the red barrel. The loot inside will be on a higher tier, so if you get one of these early on, you will be a wrecking ball pounding noobs' faces for days and days. Tip number 8. Be careful around red barrels. Red barrels work in the same retrospect as the green pill-shaped capsules. You can use them while holding a gun to get more ammo. Holding a stick and having 12 Funk will net you an explosive, and you can blow them up to kill other players. That's where this tip comes in. Watch your ass around these things. Getting one blown up won't downright kill you, but it may provide somebody with a great opener when engaging you in a fight. Also, the Funk barrels can be explosive as well, so if you see somebody losing one, you can blow it up. Tip number 9. Use the Surprise Me airdrop in your loadout screen to discover new airdrops. When starting new in the game, you begin with just a handful of airdrops, none containing guns. To get new setups, select the Surprise Me airdrop from your loadout. This will give you a random airdrop in the game, even ones you don't have yet, and if you manage to call them in and collect them, you will earn the airdrop and it will be added to your arsenal. Another way to learn new drops is to catch other players calling theirs in and looting it before they do. Tip number 10. Use alarm guns to shoot down airdrops that are far away. Alarm guns aren't really a powerful tool in the game, but if you find yourself using one, it's good to know its functionality. When players are shot with them, it attaches an annoying beacon that blares Justin Bieber music and makes them flash white light, giving away their position to anybody nearby. They do next to no damage, so shooting other players to try and kill them isn't ideal, but when it comes to shooting airdrops, they are awesome. They can hit the drops from very far away and with precise accuracy. Tip number 11. Always try to have armor on. The island is a dangerous place to vacation, so when exploring and viewing the sights to see, it is a good idea to be as protected as possible. With just a backpack and a rock, you can make armor to protect yourself from incoming attacks. If you don't have a spare backpack, craft a satchel. It's important to always be wearing armor, as this can give you the edge over your opponent. Sometimes fights aren't necessary about who is the better fighter, but who is better prepared, so be ready. Tip number 12. Know how to beat some ass. Combat in the Culling works much like the game rock, paper, scissors. You can attack, block, push, and you can also throw your weapon. Attacks are countered by blocking. Blocking is countered by pushing. And pushing is countered by attacking. The biggest mistake that new players will make is spamming attacks over and over. When your attack is blocked, you will be staggered for a second, leaving you wide open to a counter. It is also not a good idea to spam block, because the other player will push you, giving them a free hit. It is better to read your opponent, figure out what they do more, and spam the counter. Tip number 13. Use the X button to drop stuff. This tip is more for teams, but may serve some purpose in solo. If you find yourself having an excess of items, instead of throwing them with the middle mouse button, use X to simply drop them on the ground. Tip number 14. Know and use your weapon debuffs. As for melee weapon debuffs within the Culling, there are two different types. Bleeding that does damage over time, and bludgeoning that will inflict weakness. In the bottom right corner of your UI, you will see the different levels and their intensities. Bleeding causes your opponent to take damage over time and lasts 6 seconds. Each rating up increases its damage by 6. Weakness lowers your opponent's damage rating, ranging from 10% to 20%, all the way up to 30% for the highest intensity. When stacked together, they can be extremely crippling to your enemies. Tip number 15. Don't jump because it uses a lot of stamina. This tip isn't really a tip per se, but more or less a suggestion. Unless you are in a situation where you absolutely have to, do not jump. Jumping costs stamina, so if you jump 3 or 4 times for no reason, you may run out of stamina while chasing that turd bag who's running away from you. For this reason, it is better not to jump and conserve all the stamina you can for the fight and for the chase. Tip number 16. Always keep your HP high, if not full, when possible. It's always a good idea to stay fully healed when possible. Use the healing station to your advantage and top off at every chance you get. If you cannot reach a healing station, find sticks laying around to make bandages. Always try to keep your health full to give yourself the best possible odds of winning an encounter. Tip number 17. Use the kill switch to your full advantage. At a later stage in the game, you will hear the announcer say that the kill switch in the middle of the map is active.
We hope you're having fun. Nothing is more fun than turning on all the gas valves at once.
Head on toward the middle, and in the very center, you will find a switch protruding from the ground like an early morning glory. Activate the switch, and it will cause gas to release all over the map, with the exception of the very center where you are. Any players that die in the gas from the kill switch will be rewarded to you as kills. Tip number 18. Use a build that suits your playstyle. One of the best things about the Culling is that you can play an assortment of different builds, ranging from a straight up melee wrecking machine to a stealthy like ninja who is more geared towards sneaking up on their opponents and opening with a backstab. The perks in combat have a lot to do with winning, but you gotta play smart, so using a build that fits a playstyle that you are naturally used to beating some ass with may benefit you and help you feel more comfortable in combat.
Just killed an opponent with a spear.
Tip number 19. Always close doors behind you. When exploring the island, it is a good idea to close the doors behind you when entering buildings. Not only will this alert you when other players come into the same building as you, even with the stealthy perk, other players may not realize you're even in that building. This may permit you to sneaking up behind them and getting that critical opening backstab. Tip number 20. Crouch through your enemy's traps. Traps, especially punjies, can be extremely powerful when used correctly. That is where this little tip comes in right here. If you encounter a snare in the doorway, just crouch and walk through it. Crouching will prevent the trap from being triggered and even give you 2 funk in the process. Use this tip to your advantage by sneaking up on players who have turtled themselves into a building. I see him. If you made it this far, I really hope you learned something new. I just tagged him. I just killed him. And most of all, I hope you enjoyed the video and got a couple of laughs out of it. If this video goes over well, I will be doing more tip videos for the Culling, and most definitely plan on making more Culling videos in the future. If you enjoy useful, informative videos like this one, please subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed the video, click that like button, and of course, feel free to share this video with your friends, family, or nurse practitioner. Thank you for watching the video, and until next time, my name is SluggyBug, and this is the part where I say thank you for watching, and have a great night.